was a big to-do about Project Veritas, that they kind of set up James O'Keefe. He was ousted from his own company. Everyone was kind of unfollowing Project Veritas, but now James O'Keefe has started his own media group. I feel like I don't know, I don't hear anybody really talking about Project Veritas in the last few weeks since this happened, because I feel like they really did him dirty. And he is everyone has, agrees that he was Project Veritas. He was the poster boy. He was the face of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it just sounded very sketchy, the reasons for which they booted him out. But now we have the O'Keefe Media Group. He says new media group will decentralize journalism after Project Veritas split. Former Veritas CEO James O'Keefe sat down with Ben Shapiro on this week's episode of the Sunday Special, discussing how Brett Cooper, that's Jen Shapiro, discussing how he plans on outsourcing undercover operatives equipped with hidden cameras in order to decentralize journalism. Yeah, I mean, I think the Project Veritas mode of journalism has worked really, really well for them. Just get everyone a little body cam. What I'm trying to do is get information into the hands of the citizens so that they make the best decisions to elect the right representatives, O'Keefe said. I actually believe that if people had any idea what was actually going on in the three-letter agencies and the schools, then they would be rightfully outraged. O'Keefe announced his resignation from Project Veritas after a conflict with the board of directors from the investigative journalism group he founded over 10 years ago. Weeks after the company ousted the guerrilla journalist, he launched O'Keefe Media Group, a new business venture promising to be surrounded by the most elite journalists in the world, and hopefully all his hot undercover girls that I think I hope his squadron of babes followed him, because we can't have any whistleblowers without okay. His ouster from the company came after a group broke a story in which Pfizer's director of research and development admitted the pharmaceutical company things that we all know that we can't say. Project Veritas board of directors said they wanted to fix things with O'Keefe, but they wouldn't have contact with him after the incident. Basically, it's important for me to continue my mission. Basically, he wants to get cameras into the hands of thousands of people to help everyone be a journalist. I mean, don't we already have cameras? Yeah, everyone has an iPhone.
Yeah.
Don't we?
Right.
But little cameras.
They're not hidden.
But we're not enlisted. If he enlists people, you see, I think that's different.
James O'Keefe, buy us all little black dresses and tiny little body cameras.
I'll do it.
Isn't the best that the last one he did, the guy was, and who cares, but it was a gay guy, so he probably had a really good-looking dude.
I asked about that, and they said he was gorgeous. Somebody saw him. I don't know who it was.
Really?
They said he
had to be.
I want to turn the camera around.
I was thinking the same thing, Geno.
Yeah, get that mulatto to flip like that. That had to be a gorgeous mandingo.
He has a style of journalism that critics have called deceptive. Now, do you think his methods are deceptive? Do you think that having hidden cameras is a good idea, or it promotes, I don't know, sneakiness, and it'll get to a point where nobody can trust anybody? I mean, I felt we were already at that point, but everyone watched that video. That guy was spilling his guts. That's how you know that guy had to be hot.
You have to be sneaky to get the truth now. You have to be sneaky first to get the truth now. I mean,
well, I mean, I think it everything from day one of this wonderful 2 years we've had, it all goes back to common sense. And when they said follow that, that sciencey thing, it's like, no, it's impossible. It's all stats and data and ridiculousness when everything else is common sense. So circling back, when you watch this guy talk, like, you can tell when people are lying, Chad. You can tell when people aren't being honest. They're really overselling it. They're repeating. And the story changes every time. He's like, well, what do you mean? And he would just reiterate what he was saying in a more, so that's why you're gonna let me be the bottom tonight. He was really trying to sell his point, but he didn't want to look like a liar because he wanted to fucking woo this dude. So that's how I looked at it. And it's all common sense. So I don't think it's sneaky. I think it's who's ever watching it needs to decide for themselves. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Chris.
And when you're bonding is when you overshare. So
right. Yeah, they're always drinking too. Or
I mean,
usually.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Truth
that's
serum.
the
Geno.
last shot at me, people. I'm telling you.
Oh, I'm awful.
Sorry, Geno.
God, motherless.
Erock, do you think this is unscrupulous?
No, I mean, what he did is no different than what a lot of other journalistic outlets would do. I just don't think that Project Veritas gets fully covered under like freedom of the press / First Amendment stuff with this, because they're not known as being a journalistic. They can say there are, people think they are, but I think in the whole scheme of things involving the law, they're not considered like CBS or NBC News or CNN or something like that. So the fact that they ousted him, I think that was to prevent a really damaging lawsuit from Pfizer, which has deep pockets. Unless you're the government, you're not going to go after a pharmaceutical company and even win, because they'll just outspend you and drag it on or do whatever. And they can't do that, as much as people think that, you know, they're in the right, or they don't have those kind of pockets to pull revenue from to fight that. So if Pfizer's going to say, hey, look, we're going to slap like a $500 million lawsuit on you, and we'll stretch this out for however long we see fit until you do something about this. So he had to go. He was the guy involved in the story. I don't think they get that kind of coverage.
Well, and there was that one guy that did it with Project. It was Parenthood.
Erock froze.
Oh, there he is.
Planned Parenthood. The guy that went into Planned
The last
Parenthood.
thing I heard was coverage, Erock.
Yeah,
I think that was the last.
I just said they don't get that kind of coverage in a court of law with the First Amendment. I think that's why they had to cave and oust him.
Wow.
Interesting. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's not To Catch a Predator yet. What was that guy's name?
Chris Hansen.
Chris.
Yeah.
I missed that show.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if that show was on the air now?
We had him on Anthony's show not too long ago. He comes on every now and then. He's in Midtown and stuff. He said, yeah, there's no way anybody would legally back that show and network anymore, because now there's too many loopholes on being sued for the stupidest things. So they can't even, under the guise of journalism, that didn't really fall there. That was more of an expose entertainment / thing. It's why the NBC let it go. Like, they just couldn't deal with the potential lawsuits and the legalities of it. So these are great shows and great things that are being done, but if you don't have that kind of backing, nobody's going to take a chance in supporting a lot of this stuff anymore.
Right.
But can't you
get arrested for something with an underage? Am I wrong?
What,
Didn't
the
he get
host?
arrested?
No. I think he if I'm remembering correctly, he might have allegedly had, like relations with somebody, but it wasn't anything to the sense of underage or illegal. It just might have been.
Oh no,
Poor Erik.
He's just the most focused man in the biz. Welcome, Erock. Let me ask you this, circling back to the fucking Veritas thing. But I mean, wouldn't you? And I know nothing, but wouldn't you want to get sued, because that would really bring it out into the open? And I know it's deep pockets and stuff, but I mean, you would at least want it to go to. I'm guessing, like, if you're right, it kind of makes Veritas look like it's bullshit, because if you're right, you're like, all right, take me to court, right? But you're saying no. Like, I would think, but I don't fucking know.
Because I understand what you're saying. You're right, but people just don't have that money or want to take that chance to go against it. Like, no company's going to even defend an employee. Like, when we were in radio, we used to have the company backing us up. If somebody tried to file something with the FCC or a lawsuit saying they didn't like what we said, or was it breaking the law technically? No. So a company used to stand behind its host because it was generating money and ratings and what have you. Now it doesn't matter what you're generating for them. The second somebody threatens anything on you, oh, well, we can't deal with the social media outrage, fired, go away. Hose it down, bring in somebody new that's going to be vanilla and bland, and we won't hear any kind of complaints about that person.
Erock, do you think that Anthony was like the first big example of what you're talking about here? Like, no.
Imus was for his content. He was obviously making a joke. He was. It's an old doddering fool who did it wrong. but got way too much of a blowback for what he did, and people were capitalizing on that, like Sharpton and his Action Network jumping on top of this thing. But yeah, Imus was probably Howard, back in the day would just get FCC fines. You'd get religious nuts and the Parents Television Council, that made up organization, all that would just file FCC complaints, and then the FCC eventually had to do something. But that was it. You were going through a government body that would find the company that had a public broadcast license, and it was just paperwork pretty much, and cutting a check and then going away. Now they don't want to see a hashtag trending on Twitter. Like, that's almost a death knell for your existence in a company anymore. It's like, you're trending, but for the wrong reason. People are outraged. This guy in Minnesota can't handle it, or this family in Iowa is going crazy. And it's like, all right, well, we added up. That's 200 people complaining. That's it. That's oh no, we got to get rid of you. And that it doesn't matter what company. It's not even entertainment and broadcast anymore.
Yeah.
You can work at an insurance company, pharmaceutical company, anything now. The slightest thing online, and companies freak out because they just won't deal with it anymore.